Yo, it's your girl St. and today I want to talk to you about 3 things that you can start doing right now to help you with finding your purpose as someone who can finally say that I've found mine. Because I just always remember wishing that there was some roadmap to help me figure out what I was born to do and what the point of my life was. So today I'm going to be sharing some of my experiences and what I feel like are the 3 main things that really helped me to get to this point. So let's get into it. Okay, but real quick though, let me give you a little bit of context as to how I even realized that I had a purpose and what got me started on the journey to finding it. Because if you're in the place where you're still looking for yours, then I feel like you'll probably be able to relate. However, by all means, if you just want to get into the meat and potatoes of it, you could skip ahead. There are chapters in the description. You can get right into it. All right, so for me, this purpose journey started when I was in college. Growing up as a child of Haitian immigrants, I feel like my sole goal and purpose in life was to work really hard, get the best grades I could get into an Ivy League school, and then get a really great paying job so I could be financially secure, take care of my own family, and, you know, like help my parents out, sort of pay back. I don't know. It's not that they ever said this, but sometimes I think that I like carried around this guilt as an immigrant child that my parents made so many sacrifices for me so that like I could have a life that was better than theirs. You know what I'm saying? So I always felt like I'm gonna pay them back. I'm gonna buy my mom a mansion. You know what I mean? Like that was my mentality. Anyway, we got to this Ivy League school and I had no idea what I wanted to major in. I didn't know what I was doing. I was very lost to the point where I fell into a really deep depression freshman year. And then by sophomore year, it was like developing into suicidal ideation. So I feel like it was at that point where I really started questioning what the point of my life was. Like I didn't understand why I was alive or like what the point of living was anymore, right? Because I was like, what am I even doing here? I don't even know. I don't know like what the point of me being here is, right? And usually when you come to that conclusion, right? Obviously there's mental health stuff going on, but I think for me specifically, it was the first time that I realized that for my life to have meaning, I needed to really be like fully immersed in a purpose, in what I felt like was my purpose, right? What I understood was my purpose. So that was the first time, like I said, before that growing up, the only thing was, okay, get to this Ivy League school, girl, and get this good job. That's it, right? Like there was never a thought of like, what am I doing here? You know what I mean? So it was basically like this existential crisis that I was having in college that led me to realizing like, oh, all right, we got to approach things differently because up until now, I don't know what I was doing. So that's really where it started, like dealing with all these mental health struggles. I realized like, okay, I think the only way that I'll beat depression is by figuring out what my purpose is. Which brings us to the point of the video. How did I actually find my purpose? So when I was reflecting on this, I realized there were 3 main things that I was doing consistently that really helped me get to this point however many years later. So let's begin, shall we? The first thing that you want to do when you're looking for your purpose is make sure that you are exercising, specifically strength training, and eating well. Eating nutritiously, eating healthfully. And I know it probably sounds obvious, right? Like everyone's like, take care of your health. But the reason why, the most obvious reason why is you're gonna need this vessel, this body to do whatever it is that you're supposed to do in order to fulfill your purpose, right? So you need to be at full health. But I think the less obvious or less talked about reason for taking care of your health, specifically when it comes to finding your purpose, is that it allows you to more easily access your intuition, which I always say is God speaking to you. And so what do I mean by that? And why is that important? So for one, when you're eating well, when you're exercising, you're promoting gut health, right? And we know that the gut is usually called your second brain, is directly related to your mind, right? So they work in tandem, they send messages to each other. And so we also know that we have what's called a gut instinct, which is really your intuition, right? It's like that feeling that you are here and you have to make a decision and there's something that you feel like in here and you're like, okay, maybe I should be doing this as opposed to this. That's your intuition. And if you want to take it a step further, like I said, is God speaking to you. And why is that important when you're looking for your purpose? You're looking for direction, right? You're trying to figure out, okay, like how do I find this thing? What's the first thing to do, right? How do I continue on this path? You're gonna need to be able to access your intuition so that you can start to make decisions as you move along in this life. So for example, when I graduated from college, I was supposed to be doing Teach for America, right? I got hired by TFA. I was supposed to be doing it in New York. I decided to defer a year because college was intense. You already know I had a very hard time in college. It took me 5 years to graduate. I had to take time off. It was a lot. And I was like, yeah, I'm not ready to go into the intensity that is Teach for America. So I deferred it a year. And once my deferment was about to be up, they basically called me and were like, okay, we replaced you in Miami. And here are the next steps. This is what you need to do next. And this woman's talking to me and I'm literally, it sounds like the Charlie Brown teacher. Like that's what it was sounding like to me, because I was like, what am I doing? You know, like, and that was my intuition talking to me. Luckily, I had been a college athlete and like an athlete throughout my whole life, really. And so I had already been in this process of training, and especially in college, I really started focusing on like what I was eating, because at the college level, I just wanted to make sure that I could really compete, right? So like I said, I was training, eating well and all of that. And I'm on the phone with this woman talking about she about to replace me for Teach for America. And I'm like, look, no. And so something in me was just like, I feel like I need to be pursuing fitness. Like, I don't think that I should go into this teaching job, even though I know it's going to be safe and secure and all this stuff, but I feel like something's going to be missing for me. And I already had this college experience where I felt like I was going to die. And I know the key was my purpose. And I feel like if I just pursue this thing that I feel like led to do, and more connected to, that maybe it will help me find this purpose that I'm looking for. And so right there on the phone, I was like, yeah, you know what? I think I don't want to do this anymore. And I really want to pursue fitness. And it was funny because on the other end, she finally was coming through clear. She's like, well, you can do like an after school program. I was like, no, lady, no. I really want to just like fully explore fitness as a career. So sorry. But I say all that to say that now I'm here. That was, my goodness, I'm dating myself, but that was 2012. It is now 2024. And I really do feel like that decision helped me to get to my purpose a lot faster than if I had gone, you know, the other route, the Teach for America route, right? I just don't know where my mental would have been at if I took that route. So make sure you're training, make sure you're eating well. And when you do start to access your intuition, make sure you trust it, because it's leading you down the path that's going to help you to get to your purpose, which brings me to my next point. While you're on this path, make sure that you're paying attention to all of the signs. Here's what I mean. So fitness wasn't necessarily my purpose, but it was a vehicle through which I was, one, expressing parts of my purpose, and two, it's the vehicle through which I really started to find my purpose. So going back to the whole signs thing, I'm gonna give you a quick little story. So this is a few years later. I'm working as a personal trainer. Why did I say it like that? I'm working as a personal trainer in New York City. And I was actually in grad school at the time. I was in grad school for nutrition because I was having another quarter life crisis where I thought that it was crazy that I was living with my parents. I should be on my own now. I should be doing that, whatever. I was like 25 years old and crazy. And so I went to grad school for nutrition because I was like, oh, well, I'm interested in that. Like, you know, I'll do that. And then I'll do nutrition for like college athletes and professional athletes or something. That was my idea. Anyway, long story short, that was the worst year of my life. And at the end of that year, I was working as a personal trainer, and I decided that I was going to take a leave of absence from school and go back home to my parents in Boston. And so when I was leaving, it was time to basically transfer my clients over to other trainers. And so I was like very diligent about it. I was like, okay, so me and Teresa was working on this. I'm gonna, you know, set her up with this person. I'm gonna set this one up with that person, right? Like just trying to be very intentional about who I was matching people up with. And I remember like emailing them all and then letting them know that like things were changing and this is who they were gonna be working with. And when I tell you, every single client was like, no, it's okay. Just like, let me know if you come back and we'll start training again. But like, it's cool. And I thought it was so weird because it's not like it was like 3 clients. At that point, I had amassed like 12, maybe 15 clients. And every single client said the same thing. Like they just weren't interested in continuing personal training. And so here's what I mean by paying attention to the signs. What it helped me realize in that moment was that it wasn't the personal training that my clients found valuable, really, right? Because if it was, they would have just continued. We had made progress. Some of them had never even worked out before. And that's when I realized, like, okay, so there was something about me that was like, I guess, valuable enough for them to come back, re-up on packages and work with me. And here I am thinking it's the training, like, okay, y'all like the results, like, you know, but really it was like never about the training. It was just the time that they spent with me, right? And so that was one of the first moments where I was starting to really figure out my purpose. Because like I said, it's not that fitness was my purpose. What you do isn't necessarily your purpose. It's the vehicle through which you express your purpose. And your purpose is essentially an expression of the gifts that are unique to you. So like your specific and very unique gifts are expressed through your purpose. That's really why you have the gifts. And then that purpose is something that it's here, the reason why you're even here, right? And to me, it's really like you're offering to the world. Back to the point. That was the moment where I was starting to like figure out that, okay, there's a gift that I have. There's something that's like, that is making these people want to be spending time with me, right? And so that was one of my first clues that I can now take along, you know, this finding my purpose journey and really start to like build upon that, right? It was like the first thing that I realized was, okay, people want to be around me. It's valuable for them. And it is like helping them in their life somehow. And so coming back to the signs, the reason why I say pay attention to signs is because a lot of times people can see things and it can mean something to them, but you know, just because of the world, society, people will just chalk it up to coincidence. Like, oh, it's just a coincidence, right? But when you're on this journey, you're really trying to figure out what your purpose is. First of all, you really have to throw away the whole idea or concept of coincidence in the first place. Because if you believe that you have a purpose, then you also believe that nothing is really random, right? And so when you do see something, right? Or, you know, to me, signs usually, reveal patterns, right? So when you start to notice patterns and they're striking you, they mean something to you, they're there for you to pay attention, right? Like in my case with that story with the clients, the pattern was that, you know, like I remember the first email I got back and she said she wasn't going to continue. I was like, oh, okay. Like, you know, we had fun together, but I knew that it was hard for her to work out. She was new to it, right? So I was like, okay, like she probably wouldn't continue. But when other people, like literally the rest of them, every other client said the same thing, I was like, okay, wait, no. There's something to this and I need to decode it. So that's what I mean by paying attention to the signs, because like, yeah, the first part is building that intuition through eating well, training well, paying attention, trusting. But as you continue on this journey, you're going to start to notice that it's a bit of a faith walk. Like spirituality is going to be really important to some degree, right? And everybody's idea of spirituality is different. It doesn't have to look like mine. It's definitely going to look like your own version. But those signs are just universal, I think. And so paying attention to them can really start to help you decode what it is that is specific about you, that you bring to this world. And that brings us to the last and final point. Try everything. Literally try everything. And I say this because sometimes when you're looking for your purpose, I think the hardest thing is figuring out where to start. Like if you have no idea what the point of your life is, like what you're supposed to be doing, sometimes you don't even know like what you really like, right? Take my example, for instance, growing up, the only thing that I knew was that, okay, I'm gonna get good grades, I'm gonna go to an Ivy League school. That was it. Like, I didn't have a thought of like what I liked, what I didn't like. So that's why when it came to choose a major, I'm like, oh my God, I don't know. I feel like I don't like any of this, but I don't really know what I do like. Sometimes you can get caught in that trap of like, I don't know where to start because I don't even know what I actually like. But what I've learned is that like, you'll learn that by just trying things. If you have no idea where to start, just start somewhere, anywhere, literally anywhere. That's literally what I did. I think when I decided that I wasn't going to go to Teach for America, I started this small personal training gig. It was not even in a gym. It was in a luxury apartment building in Boston, actually in Cambridge, Massachusetts. And this guy, I literally found the job on Craigslist. That's how you could tell that I'm getting up there. But yeah, he was just running like a personal training business out of this building. And so I asked him if I could work there and whatever. And so I did that, but then I was like, okay, wait, I need to pay back these loans. I need some more money. So I started working at Lululemon. Like I was literally all over the place. There was a point when I was working at a real estate firm because I thought maybe I would get into real estate, but real estate was, I mean, like it was a snore for me. Like I wanted so badly to be interested and like to feel something, but I felt nothing. And I was really bored and my work performance started to reflect that, like, cause it was poor. And I remember my boss had to talk with me and she was like, yeah, maybe this isn't it. And I was like, yeah, I don't think so. I say all that to say, like, it was through trial and error that I really started to figure out what it was that I wanted to do, what I really loved to do, what types of things helped me to get into flow state so that I could, like I said, execute or fulfill my purpose. And so that's why I say to try everything. And if you do have an idea of like something that you love or something you're really passionate about, then maybe start there. What I will say is I want to caution you because I think sometimes people think that their passion is their purpose. Those are not the same thing. And I had to learn that because I was very passionate about fitness. So for a long time, I thought that fitness was my purpose. It wasn't until I started getting older, till I had that experience at the gym when I was trying to transfer all these clients over that I realized like, oh no, it's really not the fitness. You just love fitness and it's exciting for you, but your purpose is actually a lot bigger than just that. So those were the three main things that I feel like I had the biggest return when it came to figuring out what my purpose was. And so if you're in a place where you're trying to figure out where to start, you don't know what to do, just start here. And the other thing that I want to say is that it's a process, right? It's not like, and this isn't a list where you're like, okay, I start here and then I start here and then I start, you're going to kind of be doing this, like this process of training, eating well, following the signs, listening to your intuition, trying something new, trying something else, trying again until you start to like really decode and really uncover your purpose, right? Because it's in the trial of things that you start to get the signs or have the intuitions of where to go next. And then all of a sudden you start to figure out what it is, right? And I realized that this whole time I never even said what my purpose is. So at this point, what I realized my purpose is really about holding space for people to feel seen, to feel understood, and to really be able to just be their full, true, most authentic selves. Like, they don't got to put on for me. They could just be themselves, right? When we share space together. So my purpose is really to create spaces like that. And the reason why that's so important is because my mission is to use that, right? Through that purpose, to help people to find their own purpose. Just because purpose really gave me a reason to live, period. So, and I know that like, I'm not the only person that struggled. And so, yeah, so that's that. If you have questions, leave them in the comments section. If you're still looking for your purpose and you feel like any of these things could be helpful, let me know if there's anything that you will try. If you found your purpose, drop something in the comments to help people, like some of your insights, some of your experiences, your own advice that you would give someone that's looking for theirs, because I know for a fact that you have some really good advice if you found yours. And if you're in the process, tell us about like what that process is looking like. What are you working on right now? Like what are you finding? Yeah, because we want to hear it. So drop all of that in the comments. And this is probably going to be a series. I did this because I felt it was important, especially after having done a poll. And if you haven't yet, make sure you subscribe so you can see what's on the community page. But I did a poll to sort of check the temperature and see where people were at in terms of like their purpose. And when I realized that there were 40-something% of people who felt like they just had no idea what their purpose was, I was like, nah, we need to do this video. So hopefully it was helpful. I hope that you'll try some of these. I hope that you come back and let me know how it's going. And I'll see you in the next video.